Let us move along now and welcome in our next guest, one of the faces of the UFC, one of the biggest names in the UFC, one of the most popular fighters in the UFC. We have tracked down Paige VanZant once again. We have a lot to discuss with her, so let us welcome her back onto the show. Paige, how are you?
Hey, doing great. How's it going?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for the time. How was your Thanksgiving? Good Thanksgiving?
It was awesome. It was the first one that I hosted, being back in Oregon. So I had my whole family over at my house. So it was absolutely amazing. I haven't had Thanksgiving with my family since, 9 years. So it was really cool.
And you did all the cooking?
I did do all, I am a chopped champion. So I love cooking.
That's right.
But yeah, I did all the cooking and it turned out amazing.
How many people?
I think there was just 10.
Just 10? That's damn impressive.
So, 10. Well, thank you very much. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping to turn my passion for cooking eventually into my own cooking show. So that's the plan. Next venture.
That's great. Okay. Of course, the current venture is still fighting. And I know that things get weird about this, so I'll just throw it out. If you can't, you can't. We'll move on. Is there anything there's a lot of reports about your next fight, possibly in January, St. Louis, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything you could say about it at this time?
Yeah, you know what? I signed my contract. I am fighting January 14th. I mean, the UFC hasn't announced it yet, but everyone can get ready because I'm just excited to get back in there. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of, seeing all these fights announced and then watching all these amazing fights on TV and not being able to talk about mine. But yeah, so St. Louis, Missouri, I'm coming. I'm so excited.
Yes, and you're fighting Jessica Rose Clark.
I don't know if I can say that yet, but I am fighting January 14th.
Okay.
I don't want to get in too much trouble.
Yes, I don't want you to get in trouble. Could I ask you hypothetically, if you saw this Jessica Rose Clark character, if you saw her debut fight in the UFC, and if so, what did you think of it?
I did. I watched that fight against Beck Rawlings, of course. Watching that fight, I had two former opponents on the Australia card. And, I was actually going back and forth with the UFC about trying to get on that card, too. And then I was trying to get on the Japan card. It was the last few weeks have been pretty crazy. But, great debut. Awesome that she's in the 125 division, my new division. So I'm very excited. I've seen a lot of talent at this division, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
And she specifically said that she wanted to fight you. Was she on your radar at all?
No, it's just pretty much you just focus on the people that are in your division within the UFC, and then there's people coming up from all sorts of different areas and different promotions that I haven't quite heard of yet.
Right.
But yeah, I watched their fight and I loved it. I thought it was a great fight.
Now, there's never any shortage of drama surrounding you. There's always something when it comes. I mean, it's always interesting. And so let's kind of go down the list here. UFC 217. We're all watching MSG, great fight card. And you tweet out that your next fight is for the title at 125, and the whole world explodes, and everyone's like, "Whoa, Paige is fighting." What was that all about? Could you tell us what that was all about?
I did tweet that. I've been going back. I did say that. I've been going back and forth with the UFC for a long time, and there's a lot that goes on. I'm sure, as you know, behind the scenes that the general public doesn't really know about, and that was some of the talks within the UFC and within my team. And being at Madison Square Garden and watching these 3 title fights, and one of my only losses in the UFC is to Rose Namajunas, and to see her fighting for the title and then win the title, I was all amped up and full of energy, and I was like, I'm tweeting it, because if you don't, who knows? The answer's always no unless you ask.
And so you put it out there. Like, for you, it wasn't a joke. You really thought that you were kind of in the running to fight for the 125 title.
I knew it's never not an option. You see all these other fighters who not necessarily, I am coming off a loss. I know that, but, coming up to a new division, my only 2 losses in the UFC are to the now 115-pound champion. And, I went 5 rounds with Rose, and I did get beat up. I do know that, but I went 5 rounds with her. And then also to Michelle Watterson, who is ranked in the top 5, I believe. So, my only 2 losses in the UFC are to very formidable opponents, and looking at the 125 pounds Ultimate Fighter right now. I feel like it would have been an amazing opportunity for me to be in the house. So I don't know how that, got passed up for me. I feel like I would have loved to be on this season of the Ultimate Fighter since I wasn't able to compete on the 115 division because at the time I was only 19 years old. So I think anything's an option and people can talk their way into absolutely anything. And I was going to take that opportunity, but I don't think I can wait. And I heard that if I was to fight for a title, it wouldn't be until like March or so. So I just can't wait that long.
But to be clear, that was on the table. That was discussed.
Yes, it was.
Okay, wow.
There was a lot of conversations between my team and everybody. So
I'm surprised to hear you say that you wanted to be on The Ultimate Fighter. I just can't imagine doing that for 6 weeks and being locked in a house and having to fight that many times with all those women. Why would you want to be a part of that?
I think just because the reward is greater than the risk for me, and being able to go on The Ultimate Fighter, and I understand it is really stressful, and everyone who's been on it said it's not an easy thing to go through, but the opportunity to fight immediately for a belt, which is the ultimate dream for all UFC fighters, is to be a belt holder. It would just been an amazing opportunity for me to actually have that opportunity in my hands.
Did you actually ask the UFC if you could be on the show?
I didn't. I don't think that was even a conversation. It was kind of, I saw that the cast was announced, and I think maybe I just don't pay attention to what's going on social media enough. So I was like, oh my gosh, there's an Ultimate Fighter for 125. I had no idea until then the cast was announced.
So it was too late.
It was too late. So it was a bummer, but I've been excited. I've loved watching it. There's a lot of really talented girls in there. And I'm so excited that this division is already building up so quickly, and it gives me a lot of opponents to to get ready for.
Okay, so that was actually my next question. So it sounds like you have been watching it, and the finals are this Friday. We don't know who's in the finals. Who do you think is the best on the show? Like, who's someone that you think will become the champion that you'll be having to fight if you want to be a champion in the near future?
Gosh, I don't know. There's been a few girls that have impressed me. Roxanne, who was already fought in the UFC and then came back and being on the Ultimate Fighter. The way that she's grown over the years has just been really impressive, the way she's grown as a fighter. And then I've trained actually a little bit with Montana Stewart years and years ago when I was out I trained with Johnny Hendricks camp for like a week or two. And, to see, after training with her, to see how much she's grown and how talented she's gotten, it really excites me. And there's a lot of really talented girls on this season, and I absolutely have no idea who's going to win it all.
Why is Jessica Ai so mad at you?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes within the UFC. And I know that originally me and her were supposed to fight, and then I ended up getting hurt. And then they tried to get that fight matched up again. But at that point, the UFC had moved on, and they were trying to get me on the Australia card. They asked me, when Anderson Silva ended up not being on this Shanghai card, they asked if I would take a last minute fight. They asked me, I think 10 days or maybe 2 weeks before the fight if I would take a short notice fight on Shanghai. So this whole time I thought I was going to be jumping in for a short notice fight because I got ready really quickly. And after my back healed, I had this itch to get back in the cage right away. And so I said, yeah. So the whole time I thought I was fighting on the Shanghai card, and then they ended up not finding an opponent for me last minute, and they ended up having, that last minute fill in, which turned out to be an awesome thing. So I think it was just they wanted the fight really bad, and I get it. It seems like a lot of people really want to fight me. So, but that fight, it was never a signed contract. I never even got the contract for that fight. And I think they were just frustrated because they really wanted that fight with me. And my team in the UFC had already moved on and wanted me to do other things.
Are you interested in settling this with her at some point, or have you moved on as well?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure eventually we will fight each other. That's definitely, I originally definitely said yes to the fight. And it was just, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes, and maybe the UFC wasn't completely informing her of what was going on, or she was maybe out of the loop. But my team in the UFC had other plans for me, and they wanted me to take short minutes fight. So there was no reason for me to sign a contract to fight her when I thought I was fighting in Japan.
Right.
And then the Australia fight happened, and then right away I got a call from the UFC, and they wanted me to fight somebody on that card. So, yeah, eventually I'm sure we will fight each other because we're in the 125 division. I definitely think that she'll have a lot of success in this division, and I know I will as well. So that fight is for sure still on the table.
So she was upset. And then Valentina Shevchenko says you turned down a fight against her, which that fight never really kind of made sense to me. Is that true? What's the story there?
I was never, I think, a lot of people call me out on Twitter, and I don't respond. And that's not really me turning down a fight. I just don't respond. So it's really, I just listen to the UFC. They tell me who to fight, and I let my team and the UFC figure it out. And then they just tell me, hey, you're fighting on this card at this time. And I say, sure. And that fight was actually never offered to me.
Okay, so all these people saying you're turning down fights, it's inaccurate.
Totally inaccurate. Yeah, I was never offered that fight. And, within the UFC, there really is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And I get it. People want to fight me. I get it. I understand. Well, I don't know. People just really want to fight me.
Why do they want to fight you so bad?
And
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I feel like I'm a nice person. I don't know. So yeah, for me, I haven't turned down a fight the UFC's offered me, and I'm excited about my next one. I got a text that same night, and I responded and said yes that same night. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to my next fight. I'm excited. A new division. I'm fighting out of a new team. So this is a really big change for me.
Yeah, it says a lot about the society we live in, where everyone wants to beat up the nice girl. Like pick on someone who's causing havoc, who's being bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why is everyone picking on you?
I know. People want to pick on me. Well, the funniest thing is I went and posted something on Instagram about hey guys, I have an announcement coming soon, and everyone's like, oh, she's pregnant.
Oh no.
No, guys, why do you guys have to hate on me? I have a fight coming up. So, yeah, I'm excited. So we got to announce it on your show. I have a fight coming up January 14th.
But you can't say the opponent just yet.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I was supposed to announce I had a fight coming up, but
it's like state secrets.
I felt like it.
Yeah, come on. Sometimes you got to live on the edge a bit. By the way, you pulled out due to a back injury, but you also didn't you have staff and like a litany of things as well when you had to pull out of 216?
A whole list of stuff go wrong. So first, I would have stayed in the fight if it was just the whole list of other things, but I have disc problems. I had 3 herniated discs at one point, and I was fortunate enough this time that only one of them went out. So I had 1 herniated disc, but it's still something where your spine, it's the only spine I'll ever have in my entire life. And I need to take care of it. And that was the biggest thing, working with my doctors and chiropractor, that, the UFC will get me fights when I'm ready. And right now I needed to focus on healing my back. And luckily, through all the physical therapy, and I was doing all kinds of crazy treatments and stuff, I was able to heal it quickly. And now it's just paying attention to it so I don't re-injure it again.
Okay.
But yeah, so my back issue. And then, so I got ringworm, which is normal. That's fine. And then it turned into a crazy virus. Oh. And then I got a sinus infection, pink eye, and a double ear infection. And I had a sinus infection for a month. I was on 3 rounds of antibiotics, and it just wouldn't go away. So I guess my back injury came at a good time, because all of a sudden I was crazy sick for a super long time.
How did you get pink eye, by the way? That's a doozy.
So I asked my doctor, and he said my sinus infection was so bad it just infected my whole face. I had a really bad virus.
Wow.
Because it was my nose, eyes, and ears. Because I got a double ear infection as well. It was just I somehow got a really bad virus.
When you were on the show back in September, you talked about how you were done fighting at 115, how it was, just very scary to do that. It was bad for your health. And then shortly thereafter, you posted some photos of you cutting weight that exploded. TMZ picked it up, New York Post, all that stuff. Yeah. Why did you feel the need to do that? And were you surprised that it received so much attention?
Yeah, I was shocked it received so much attention. I think I've talked about how hard the weight cut is for me at 150 to get to 115. And I think maybe, I do look smaller for the weight class, but I cut a significant amount of weight. I walk around at like 135, 137 pounds. And maybe I just have like a really heavy muscles. I'm not really sure, but I walk heavy for what I look like. And yeah, that cut to 115, I just couldn't do it anymore. And my parents have never seen me cut weight. And then since I fought in Sacramento, they watched the weight cut and they said if I ever cut weight again, then they would just have like cut to 115 again, then they would want nothing to do with me just because they thought I was killing myself for this and I looked awful. So yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I should share what I put myself through to get to 115. And I really was giving myself an eating disorder just to try to make weight. And I'm all about body positivity and loving yourself and loving who you are as a person. And I was absolutely contradicting myself by having to cut that much weight. And I was tearing myself apart. So I'm really excited about moving up to 125. I think it'll send a positive message for all my fans, and I'm not going to torture myself for something. And I need to love who I am as a person, and my body is not meant to be that small. It just isn't. So I'm really excited to fight at 125. I think I'm going to be definitely faster, definitely stronger, and I'm just going to feel a lot better.
Wow. So you think that we haven't truly seen the best Paige VanZant until you fight at 125, that you've sort of been stopping you're stopping us from seeing your full potential due to the extreme weight cuts?
Yeah, I definitely know it. In practice, I know the guys that I train with, and it's a whole different person when I'm feeling good versus when I'm training at 115. I'm a whole different animal. And I think, and especially this, it's huge. I'm fighting out of a new camp. I'm here at Gracie Baja with Chael Sonnen here in Portland. And he said he's seen so much growth in me since I've been here, and I'm really, really excited to see my skills shown off in the cage because I'm a totally different athlete now. I'm training with a brand new team, and I'm really excited.
He giving you any trash talking tips, Chael Sonnen?
No, he's a genius. He's so good at what he does, but I couldn't even try. I don't trash talk. I'm not good at it. I don't know.
Last thing for you, you also announced recently that you have a book coming out called Rise in April.
Yeah.
You still have a lot of life to live. You still have a lot to do in MMA and other avenues, cooking, movies, who knows. Why come out with the book now?
It just, the timing was perfect. And it's something I've been writing since I was in high school. So this is a piece of me that actually has been written since my freshman year in high school. And it's not something, it's just like a memoir about my life. It's really something that I feel like girls need to read. And there's some stuff in it. I'm really nervous about putting it out there because it tells a lot of some crazy secrets about things that have happened to me, and my parents don't actually know. So I'm going to give them the book first and let them read it before the whole world gets to read it, hopefully.
Wow. Is it done?
I think, it is. Yeah, it's done. We're just waiting. It has to go through a whole editing process. And I just listened to my publishing team of what's going on next. But yeah, I'm excited. It tells the whole story of my life. And I think it's something that a lot of girls need to read. And I hope I can inspire people because a lot of people go through this and people are going to, I think, be really shocked at some of the things I've been through. And I think it's just, you want to continue to rise. And that's why I titled it Rise. Well,
good for you, Paige. Keep doing you. Forget the haters. Forget all the people calling you out. Yep. We're happy to have you around and happy to hear that you're coming back on January 14th against the dreaded to be announced in St. Louis. Yeah. Looking forward to that. And if you want to learn more about the book, you actually have it pinned at the top of your Twitter page. There's a link up there. You can pre-order it. It comes out on April 10th, 2018. Always a pleasure, Paige. Thanks so much for checking in. Always appreciate you coming on the show, and glad to hear that your first Thanksgiving back home was a great success as well. Thank you.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. There she is, Paige VanZant, returning to action. Surprising to hear that she wanted to be a part of The Ultimate Fighter. I can't imagine being in that house for 6 weeks, but I guess with the stakes being a little higher this time, with the belt on the line, I think history would show that if you skip the show and just kind of do your own thing like Joanna did, I think history would show that it all kind of works out.